Hello, fellow travelers. I'm going to do my first video here for you guys. Again, forgive my rather primitive methods here. So what I'm going to do, I decided for this demonstration of clouds, I'm going to go with a very limited palette. And when we talk about limited palettes, that means just a few colors. Sometimes it even means a monochrome palette, meaning just one color with variations of value of that color. In this case, I'm just using my primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. We'll see how it all turns out. And I'm doing this because here's my normal palette right here. Rick and I like to call the stuff around the edge the sludge. But I won't be traveling with this. I'm going to be traveling with a much smaller palette and limited colors. I won't have all the different paint at my disposal, so and neither will you. So it's good to kind of try to practice with those sort of limitations. And I'm working on my block. It's a rough Arches watercolor block. What's the dimensions? It's like 9 by 12. So this might be something similar to what you'll have on the trip. So for my cloud demonstration, I'm going to first use my flat brush and throw some water on top of the paper. Now, I think it's important when you're painting to understand now that even if you're putting water on the paper like I'm doing now, you want to do it in a provocative manner, in a way that's not just where you're just slapping it down, but understand that you're starting the painting. So I'm thinking very kind of rhythmically with the brush. I'm turning it as I am applying the water, and I'm leaving areas of dry paper here and there. I'm kind of dragging the brush. I'm not forcing the water into the paper because I'm anticipating that, where's my other brush? That I want those sort of edges between things. And I'm not putting a ton of, I'm not like saturating the paper. I'm just kind of dragging some water on top to create the start of the painting of clouds. And I'll start with the blue. I'm not sure what this blue is gonna look like, but we'll see. Because it's a blue sky, it's not a dark sky today, I guess. So I'm gonna drop the pigment into the water. And if you watched my little video on dropping, this is a particular technique. Now notice I'm literally dropping the paint into the water. I'm not scrubbing away. I might go like this a little bit, but I'm thinking very delicately. And you can see right here where the paint, it drags across the texture of the paper, creating those sort of beautiful little dots and blobs and things. So with this particular prompt, we're just thinking clouds. I'm not looking at any particular clouds. I'm just kind of thinking about clouds. Another thing I want to show y'all. I'm going to put a little flatter wash down. This color, blue, is actually really nice for sky color. Feels good. So like, one of the things you can explore is the way water kind of behaves on paper. So I rinsed out my brush here in the water, and I'm carrying some water over, and I'm just gonna drop it into this area of color right here. Watch what happens. See how that just kind of pushes out? I'll put a little bit more in there, and I'll try to kind of keep adding more to get it to spread. And as it spreads, you can see how it collects pigment. So the water is pushing out and collecting pigment as it goes. And so it'll create this so the center part gets lighter and the edges get darker, and it creates this really beautiful relationship between the paint and the water that when it dries is quite lovely. And I'm just gonna do that because to me that feels kind of like a cloud effect. I don't know, there's a hair right there. And so I'm gonna try to preserve like all these, as best I can, all these like beautiful little passages where the pigment's moving out into the water, where the water's pushing the pigment. I could even add a bit of pigment to that and just to kind of darken it up a bit. I'm gonna go back to my flat gotta check the time. I gotta take my car in. And drag some more. Now, one of the things I just did is I squeezed out my brush. So when there's times where you want your brush to be loaded with water and other times where you want it to be kind of dry. So I typically just take my fingers and squish it out like that. I know you didn't see that, but I didn't want to squish over my paper. So there's less water to manipulate the pigment, so it kind of creates things like that. One of the things I've been doing lately, I've been really aggressive. I saw the Turner show it in San Francisco a few years ago. The British painter, Turner. Is it William Turner? So, yeah, no, well, whatever. Like Turner. Fantastic painter specializing kind of in the oceans, the oceanscapes, water, boats and stuff. Well, his boats were little and funky, but he did a lot. He's well known for his paintings, oil paintings, but he also did a whole ton of watercolors. And the show I saw in San Francisco was mostly his watercolors, and they were just stunning. But what he was really aggressive with them, which I just loved, and I've been kind of doing that more with my own work, like kind of scrubbing away at the paper surface and stuff when I feel like it's important. And I was up in Grand Marais about a month ago, and they have a really nice little art supply shop. That's where I got that little pop-up the pop-up water holder, but they also had these cool brushes, and this is like a brush made for scrubbing. It's a watercolor brush, and I haven't used it a whole lot yet, but you can see how it kind of scrubs the surface of the paper. Now, you don't want to do this too much because you'll end up kind of breaking up the fiber of the paper, but it's just a nice little addition to my painting tool kit here. Okay, that put some paint I got. Now notice that I've been just using one color in this whole thing, just the blue. So now I'm gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Dropping, more dropping. I'm gonna do a more of a flat wash up on the top now. So I've got my brush here and I'm gonna squeegee it out. Here, I'll just squeegee it here, just show you what happens, I don't care. See, I squeegeed it. And I'm gonna drag some water across the top and then do some flat area, like more of a blended pigment treatment here on the top of this painting. Now, one of the things I used to emphasize a lot when I taught watercolor was that it's very much, you don't want to just slap the paint down. It's the most important thing to remember is that it's a transparent process. So instead of thinking like when you paint your a wall in your house or whatever, that's an opaque process. You're covering up the wall, so it's opaque. Watercolor is transparent. So you want to preserve the integrity of the white of the paper as long as you can, because it's one of the beauties of watercolor is that white paper illuminates the eventual painting in really interesting ways. So now I'm just kind of, I don't know, I feel like I'm not painting clouds anymore, I'm just dibbling around. So there's that flattish wash I'm just gonna drop. And this is where you can see the texture of the paper really kind of starting to work. I'm gonna mix up some orange quick here. So I've got the yellow and the red right here. I'm gonna put some red right here, some orange right here, or yellow I mean. And yellow and red make orange. And you don't have to know this necessarily. I mean, I'll keep repeating it, but if you don't know the complementary colors, it's okay. And orange is the complement of blue. So what complementary colors do to each other is they neutralize each other. So ideally, if you get the right combination of blue and orange, you have neither. It's just a neutral gray. And that's not hard. I mean, that's like under ideal circumstances, right? So I have an orange here. What I'm gonna do is kind of gray. I don't know, I'll see what happens here. Might be too strong. I don't know. It's kind of strong. So I'm gonna add more blue, but I want to get a little bit more value going on in there. And when I mean value, what I mean is just lights and darks. Lights and darks happening. So I'll put some blue in there to kind of neutralize it a bit more so that I get more grays. Now, one other thing I want to observe to everybody watching this, if you're with me still, I haven't outlined anything. Like, I know I'm painting clouds, but I'm not like outlining clouds, you know, like and then painting them in. I'm letting the paint create the contours of the forms. Yeah, see right here, you can see that's more of a neutral. I don't know if you can see that with the camera, pick up the color, but this is much more of a gray tone right here with a hint of green. Scrubby brush here, pull up some lighter tones, especially near the darker areas. Turner had paintings where he would just like scrub the paper so dang hard that it would tear. So he'd like just be pulling up tones and now this area up here, I'm going to drop some clear water in just to do that pigment push deal. See, yeah, that's cool. I like that. It has set up a little bit, and so there's just a better reaction. Yeah, do a bunch of those. I don't know. Do they look like clouds? What do clouds look like? We have the stereotype of a cloud, you know, like, or how would I say, like that, right? Or the kind of, we can draw like cartoons of clouds, but really clouds are, like every time I look at a cloud, it's I haven't seen that before. It's a whole different looking thing. Okay, I'm gonna stop it now, let it dry. I gotta take my car in for an oil change. I hope that was helpful.